Hello YouTube, this is Matt Pullen, and today I played in my first over-the-board chess tournament in about 2 years. I won 3 out of 4 rounds. All 4 rounds were the same day, and my opponents were all like 1800, so I probably still lose rating points. But not a bad tournament for the first time out in a while. So I guess I can look at it that way. My second round game was the game that I lost, and it was very disappointing to me because I developed what I thought was a really nice advantage out of the opening, and just ended up making an incorrect attacking move and allowing all sorts of counter chances on the queen side, and just I ended up falling on my face. But there's actually something that happened in this game that I want to show you. I'm just going to flip through the moves. I was playing the white pieces, and my opponent was Tim Isles, whose rating is like 300 points below mine. So it is an English, and I have a what could be a fianchetto variation of the King's Indian defense if I put my pawn on d4. Or it could be if I put my pawn on d3, it could be a Botvinnik setup, wherein I'm just going to play like bishop e3, queen d2, and then develop from there. 6, h3, bd7. Now here I could play d4. This is a position, from the fianchetto variation of the King's Indian, where a possible plan for black, might be, after he plays e5 and castles. I mean, black could play the rook to e8 and then capture here and try and play down the e file. Or he could play for something like rook b8, a6, b5. Because the c4 square this is the natural weakness of the fianchetto variation, because the guardian of the c4 square, usually the bishop, is not on this diagonal anymore. It is vacated, and any kind of b3 move to protect the c4 square potentially loosens the long diagonal. So a lot of black's schemes against the fianchetto variation involve some kind of activity based on the weakness of the c4 square. But in a position like this, knight bd7 castles. Why did it go into that? See, castles. See, white is not committed to the d4 move. He could play d3, and then he's still protecting his light squares. And this becomes an appealing option, especially since black has not done anything to challenge the dark squares. He hasn't played c5. He hasn't played e5. My opponent played knight e5 in this position, which I think is really goofy. I mean, he's attacking c4, sure, and if I play b3, then he just comes in and sits in the d3 square. So, I mean, whatever, d3. I mean, this is a move I was going to play anyway, and this knight is a possible target of a pushback with pawn to f4. So a6, and again he's trying to get in that b5 move, and I decided to play a4 to contest that square further, and also possibly advance to a5, which would clamp down on the b6 square. So he plays e6. Again, a strange looking move for King's Indian, but he wants to put the pawn on d5. This is his idea. And I played f4 to drive the knight back. He played queen b6 check, because if I had played king h2, which is the natural place that the king wants to be in this pocket here, then there's an immediate problem in knight eg4 check takes knight takes, king h1, and then check, which forces the win of an exchange because it's hitting the king and queen. So because of that, king h2 cannot be played. So just king h1. And now the knight has to go back to d7. And then a5. See, this is why I allowed him to play queen b6 check rather than stopping that move by playing a5 or bishop e3 first. It's because I foresaw that on b6 the queen could be subject to harassment with pawn to a5 and then knight to a4, which aims to lock down on the b6 square. Actually, Houdini feels that my knight a4 plan was not on point, and I could have gotten more out of the position simply by playing d4, the very peculiar-looking four pawns attack. But anyway, in the game I played knight a4, and they played rook b8, trying to enforce some kind of a b5. And I played g4, gaining space on the king side. Again, this was a move where I could have considered playing d4. And after g4, b5, a takes b, knight takes b, bishop e3, c5. And it's like, okay, I've forced you to play c5, and your pieces are kind of funny over here. I have no reason to exchange for your bad knight. I'll just go back to c3. And I ended up, pushing forward with the. I ended up playing like queen c1 and pushing forward with f5, and then bringing the bishop to h6 and launching an attack. But ended up losing because I played in inaccuracy down the road. But let's back up a second. Something in this position that I wanted to point out. And this is a testament to the value of being alert in a chess game. Even sequences of moves that seem completely benign, like figuring out that if he checks you, you can go to h1 and then kick the queen back later with h5 or a5. But I didn't even, when he played queen b6 check, because I had seen this already in my head, I didn't even think that there might be anything here. My hand went right to my king, and I just put it on the corner, just without even thinking about, this move, what I was doing. And I didn't even realize it until I was entering the moves of this game in, to my database, at the end of the day. But in this position, I mean, clearly, if I were to show you this and say, hey, this is a puzzle, it's white to play and win, then, I'm sure that you could get it. These moves are not that difficult. Pause the screen, or pause the video if you do not see the continuation for white here. Okay, well, being checked, right? The king is being checked, the knight is being threatened. So the king moves away, and then the knight retreats. Well, c5. Now the queen is attacked and the knight is attacked. So if the queen, if the queen moves, the queen being the more important piece, if the queen moves, then I get to capture the knight unless it's check. So this is forced. Now just d4. Now it looks like the queen can just go back here and keep pinning this pawn, but the other pawn is attacking the knight. So this just would have resulted in me being up a piece if I had gone into this. So yeah, I hope you can pick up some kind of a lesson from that. I mean, all the work that I put into this game and ended up losing, having nothing to show for it. But it could have been over, like on move 11. If I just taken this moment that this completely ordinary position, and looked for opportunities to capitalize on a tactical blunder. But I mean, it's just the moves seem so benign, Queen B6, King H1, that I somehow missed this obvious win of piece. So yeah, that happened in my second round game, and I missed this opportunity. So I hope you can learn from this. That even in the opening stages of the game, where you feel pretty sure that you know what you're doing, you can sometimes gain valuable rewards by being alert. Side story: I once actually had white with e4, e5, bishop c4, bishop e7. I actually missed the correct move in this position, and I played. I mean, I'd never seen this move before, but I wanted to play a Vienna game, and I just played like knight c3. I followed up with d3, f4, knight f3, etc., and just built up a good position. My opponent was not very highly rated, so I just sort of played, fast, comfortable moves, and ended up coasting. But in this position, there's actually a trick here, based on the fact that this bishop on e7 is preventing the queen from coming to the assistance of the f7 square. So, knowing that, we arrive at queen h5. Simply threatens 2 pawns, and there's nothing that black can do to stop it. So black just goes down a pawn in the opening for nothing. Yet I missed this, very seemingly very basic tactic, just by playing too quickly. So yeah, I mean, this has been a very short video on alertness, in the opening in chess, and how it is good to have it, and not so good not to have it. Anyway, talk to you later.